your pick is about to go down.
You know what? I am going to agree with you as much as it pains my ego and, you know, what I wrote on that board. But I think you might be remembering things wrong. I think I wrote RDU on that board.
I'm pretty sure you wrote Bunnyhoppor, and I'm pretty sure the internet never forgets. Your internet's a lot like your ex-girlfriend. They never forget. Yeah. Bunnyhoppor opens up with Fiery War Axe. Very strong opening against Zoo Warlock. It's actually exactly what Bunnyhoppor was looking for. RDU kept, I think he full mulliganed. I can't remember exactly, but he did end up starting with 2 one-mana minions. However, he might be keeping the coin based off of his opening hand because he doesn't have a clean turn 2 play.
But that's a pretty good hand if you're a Warrior player going up against a Zoo Warlock.
Yeah.
Having Fire War Axe, having early minions to play, having that removal. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I think I remember now. My board did say Bunnyhoppor.
It's, that's pretty nasty start here. Bunnyhoppor being able to have all the early game answers. Now, Ravage Ghoul is not as strong as it used to be against Zoo, primarily because the Zoo Warlocks have stopped running Forbidden Rituals. But there's still a lot of impact on removing some of these small annoying minions like Possessed Villager. RDU has to now kind of weigh what he wants to do facing this Fire War Axe. He does have Voidwalker to absorb the hit, so to speak, because he knows Fire War Axe will get value anyways. Or if he chooses to play Imp Gang Boss, he somewhat plays into Ravage Ghoul. Ravage Ghoul at least leaves behind a 1/1.
There's so many things that you play into, no matter what you play against Control Warriors, since they have so much removals.
It's true.
You have to think about Slam, you have to think about Revenge, you have to think about Bash, you have to think about Execute, you have to think about Ravaging Ghoul. There's a lot of things that go through your mind, and sometimes you just have to make the most powerful play onto the board and think ahead to your future turns instead of, you know, making the most powerful play for that turn. What's going to make it more awkward for your opponent's removal if you do it this way? So he goes ahead and makes an interesting play in Voidwalker plus Possessed Villager, which actually puts the same amount of power on board as Imp Gang Boss, just sort of splits it up a little bit. But it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, and I think Bunnyhoppor knows that RDU is put in an awkward position. Zoo wants to use their coin way before turn 3 even, and now he's seen 3 turns of not using the coin, so Bunnyhoppor has to interpret, 1, either the Zoo hand is really awkward, or 2, he's trying to stagger his threats to avoid his opponent getting a really optimal clear here. But the problem is that for RDU is that Bunnyhoppor has pretty much everything he wants. Like, he's got this, but I guess the only thing that's missing is a second Fiery War Axe.
Pretty much. And the kitchen sink. I think that's how that saying goes.
Well, it would be that Bunnyhoppor's throwing everything at RDU in the kitchen sink. And it's not gotten to that point yet. I mean, Bunnyhoppor's still going to be digging for a couple of cards. Brawl is usually really impactful. Execute's good for the Doom Guards, and then he'd feel really safe. But for now, I think he's chilling.
Do you have the
Feels like he's a very safe spot.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like he needs to use these Ravaging Ghouls yet to try and take some power off the board. A 3/5 is pretty good. Ooh, this is getting awkward now.
Yes. RDU can set up a Darkshire Talisman that'll grow. And the Imp sets up for Doomguard to cycle the Darkshire Librarian and the coin. However, Imp might not survive depending on how the Elite Star Seeker trades, so he might just coin Doomguard. I know that sounds really silly, but if your opponent doesn't have it, then you can pressure your opponent pretty well.
Coin Doomguard, I feel like, is kind of the safe play in this situation, as weird as it seems. Holding on to the Doomguard to try and go for a better situation for it actually feels like the riskier play. You know, trying to wait for an additional benefit, and he's actually just going to float a mana and hold on to all 3 of these to try and maybe combo the Imp with the Doomguard. He could go like Malkazar's Imp, coin Doomguard next turn.
Sure.
And
discard this next card.
Discard 2 cards, so he'd replace. If he picks up a Silver Golem, he'd put himself in a really good position.
RDU is a player that prides himself on Zoo play a lot. Very outspoken on the difficulty of the deck to play in tournaments. He thinks a lot of people are playing the deck improperly. for tournaments and oversimplify it. He thinks it's. I think he also even made a case that it's probably the hardest deck to play a couple months ago. Maybe it's since changed. The innovation of Malygos Druid and a few other decks which have seen a lot of play at the top level. But it's something that it's very clear. RDU loves to play the Zoo, and he does perform better with it than other people. So him being able to spot things like the Malygos Zimp, Coin, Doomguard allows him to put on pressure and keep his options open for the following turns. I like it.
Yeah. But Bunnyhoppor continues to throw out his onslaught of removal spells as he gets a good early game. Oh, ooh.
Okay, that's a little unfortunate the way that Soulfire gets discarded by the Doomguard, but at the same time, you get to cycle it, so it's not the worst thing in the world. So playing the Doomguard, and you can trade into the Elite Starseeker, play around the Brawl, draw 2 more cards. Oh man, imagine if Civil War Golem was able to come out. That would have been really nasty.
Yeah. But Bunnyhoppor once again has the answer to this with Ravaging Ghoul plus Execute. We'll leave the Malygos Zimp up, which could be risky in some situations, but having seen one Soulfire discarded, having seen the Darkshire Librarian discarded, having seen one Doomguard played, you're much more comfortable with leaving it up. Not that he had a choice, but he's not going to feel, you know, too threatened by, oh, double Civil War Golem.
Yeah, it's a little clunky because he doesn't have that Doomguard immediately.
Soulfire pickup from this would be pretty good. He could play one Civil War Golem out of his hand.
Sure.
And then Soulfire, use up all of his mana.
Yeah, you're right.
Could, and be able to clear up the board. Yeah, still draw a card off it as well. Doesn't pick it up, though.
Another Imp. I wonder how good the Ghostshire Footman is to kind of complicate the trading from Bunnyhoppor because he has a Ravaging Ghoul up.
Yeah.
Difficult spot because once again, Control Warrior has more cards, enough of a life total to feel comfortable. RDU has to life tap. He's ready to use some of his bigger threats like Doomguard. Chooses the second Imp here in case he draws more discard, but it's definitely not a desirable position for RDU.
I was going to say, how much faith does he have in the top of his deck? And the answer is going to be quite a bit, and he's going to pick up a way to at least deal with the Ravaging Ghoul and still replace his Imp with something a little bit different. Might even hold on to it to try and, you know, get greedy once again and hope that he gets a discard effect next turn, because if he does, imagine if he picks up a Doomguard next turn. Doomguard, draw 2 cards, and have a very likelihood, you at least get 1 Civil War Golem, have a pretty decent chance of getting 2.
It seems like a pretty good position to drop Baron Geddon. Just clear the board as much as you can. Malygos Zimp lives, but you know your opponent's running a little bit dry on resources. That's not what RDU wants to see. Possessed Villager, very weak. One of the weakest draws in RDU's deck. Wouldn't blame to see a life tap here.
Yikes.
Yeah, and it just feels like the Control Warrior is very, very safe from this point on. Not to mention that Bunnyhoppor picked up Justicar Trueheart. So if in the case where he's able to win the board, Bunnyhoppor is able to just sit back and use tank up to get out of range.
Yeah. And, well, he can go for Ravaging Ghoul and then hit face and deal 9 damage this turn.
Yeah.
That seems pretty good.
This is the turn where Bunnyhoppor decides to go aggressive against his opponent, and RDU is going to be stuck in a defensive position with no real comeback. Cards like Forbidden Ritual used to be a comeback card, but RDU, you know, opting to go for more things like tempo with Silverware Golem and the discard mechanic, doesn't really have that availability. I mean, he could pick up Soulfire here, which would be pretty useful if he discarded the Silverware Golem, but he's still really far behind in the grand scheme of things. But it's still an option. If he plays, if he taps into Soulfire, he can Knife Juggler twice, play the Soulfire, and then the Juggles could potentially clean up the rest of this mess.
Yeah. Can't quite do it now, and I think he is dead no matter what.